no amount of increase in pressure and propaganda and headlines written about me that are going to convince me. And by the way, I'm just the conduit, right? You're attacking me, but you're angry that also the masses have not accepted this. There's not a number that is going to convince the masses that his human neck, stopped a 30-06 bullet. Okay, we don't care about the elections coming up. We want to know whether or not we are in bed with people who are capable of murder, people that are capable of covering up murders. Actually, we, the nosy neighbors, feel a little bit less safe in this neighborhood until we know whether or not there are some psychopathic killers in our midst. How about that? That's how I feel. I think that's how a lot of people feel right now. So I want to express that. I get it. It's me against the whole world. Actually, it's not. It's me against the elites. It is not her priority to respond to the majority, actually. The majority of people think of this as BS. The majority of people think Turning Point is acting suspicious. And she does not feel that it is what she wants to do as a matter of priority, responding. We're on the right track, and we're going to keep pushing. You can't keep calling everybody crazy and thinking that wins the argument. Laughter, elite laughter, like they're just in their private clubs, like, maroon shirts, Egyptian planes. It's elitist and scrappy. I'm going to stay on the side of truth, and I am going to keep enduring these attacks and stand with the people.
Hello, and welcome back to my humble show. I have some things to show you, some things to share with you. Don't want to keep you too long, though. I've actually been sitting on this for quite some time. Been meaning to record something about it, so now is the time. If you're someone who has been watching Candace Owens on her podcast with clickbaited breath, waiting for the next big conspiracy theory twist, well, why don't you start looking into her? If you think there's a lot to look into when it comes to Charlie Kirk's widow, you haven't seen nothing yet. I mean, this stuff is hit or miss. We're talking about people, imperfect people, people with histories, some more extensive than others. But if you want to go down some rabbit holes, just investigate Candace Owens. So many questions to be asked about her husband even, since she likes taking shots at family members. Questions about their history with something as minute as Parler. I say minute because no one really talks about that, right? But they have history with Parler, the social media platform. They have history with Kanye West. They have history with the Tate brothers. Candace Owens has a history of covering up for abusers of minors. Yeah. A lot to look into there. Questionable behavior on her part because she has defended the questionable behavior of others. And we can take it to Hollywood. Harvey Weinstein. She had Harvey Weinstein on her show from prison. She interviewed him precisely because she wanted to get him to admit that he was set up by Israel. Because the last couple of years, she has been all things anti-Israel. She has been all things anti-Israel. But there's a lot to look into in regards to her own conversion experience, her conversion to Catholicism. I heard her not too long ago talking about how she didn't want to speak for her faith because she's just a student of Catholicism. So, how convenient that she does not want to answer questions about her faith. But she questions everything about everyone else. If they recite Bible verses on their own podcasts in response to her, she says she has more contempt for them than anyone else because they're, Bible thumpers. How dare they? Meanwhile, she puts Christ is King on her merch and pretends she's not taking a shot at anybody. What else is there to look into? Oh, her history with Blexit. Financial history with Blexit. Her history with TPUSA, PragerU, Daily Wire. Her reasons for getting fired or resigning because she can't really seem to keep her story straight on some of those details. We can take it back even further than that. Her history with Degree 180, I've been talking about that in some of my other videos. If you haven't seen those, check those out. That's kind of how she got started in media and the publishing of articles. She has published articles on various platforms over the years, but I would say that's a paper trail, if you know what I mean, worth looking into. Speaking of paper, she's making plenty of that now. She is getting a lot of buck for her bang on YouTube and wherever else her podcast and clips are being circulated. What about Social Autopsy? That was an epic fail, was it not? And safe to say, many of the things she says today would be on that website right now if it wouldn't have been, well, an epic fail. But let's go back even further to her days in high school. She made some pretty big claims, which led to some legal hot water for certain individuals. That was her first claim to fame. She has had many more since. She has had various lawsuits which she has been involved in over the years. One involving a place she was renting and failing to pay her rent at. Then she ultimately made claims about having her health deteriorate because of mold in conditions where she was living. If that seems like a mundane detail in life, well, what about this one? She has an ongoing lawsuit courtesy of the Macrons because she was claiming, and still is, that Brigitte Macron has a you-know-what. And, of course, Candace Owens claimed that she was not actually being sued because of her claims, despite the lawsuit itself saying within it that that's the reason why she was being sued, or shall I say is being sued. So she has struggled to keep many stories straight over the years. And speaking of the Macrons, she also claimed at least a couple of months ago during her conspiracy theorizing about Charlie Kirk's death, she claimed that the Macrons actually had an active hit out on her and that there was some sort of hitman roaming around in her state even. Yeah, she doesn't talk about that anymore, interestingly enough. She claimed that she sent a text to the FBI or someone in the FBI because she has sources everywhere, so she says. So no official police report, just sending a text to the FBI because she trusts her sources in the FBI, but she doesn't trust the FBI. Similarly to how she likes to tout Tucker Carlson's familial connection to the CIA, but then if it's anyone else, she doesn't trust them. We're talking about a whole bucket of bad actors, though. It's not just Candace Owens, not just Tucker Carlson. So many more, and some more prominent than others. But that's enough of my opinion. Let me get into the weeds a little bit here. So first, let me just pull up this. I've pulled this up in other videos of mine. This is the old Instagram account of her and her gal pals, as I like to call them. You see there the Degree 180, all the posts which went up at the time. The last one was March 22 of 2016. Some are more questionable than that one. For example, this one. Yikes. So her and her gal pals were reposting Demi Lovato, who went on to self-identify as pretty much everything under the sun, if you know what I mean. But yes, you can scroll down here, and I pull this up just to shift into something else. This website. And if I click this link here, where they had at the time linked an article titled, "So What If Kesha Is Lying?" we get, nothing. Because the actual website is no longer in existence for Degree 180. Degree 180, of course, as we've been discussing, was what they used to promote the epic fail, which was Social Autopsy. But it's our lucky day because someone archived the various articles from Degree 180 over the years, including the ones published by Candace Owens, or Candace A, as it says here. Yes. Can scroll down here and see the thumbnails, including that one. Yikes. Thumbnails, titles from articles she wrote over the course of a couple of years, 2015, 2016. I have a few things pulled up, and I have a thread on X, which I want to run through. But here's a quote from Candace Owens, and you can see on here it actually has her name by Candace Owens. Some say Candace A, as you can see. This is the one which was shared on their Instagram account. I pulled this one up specifically just to show you the authenticity. So there on the original degree180.com website, you get nothing because the website is no longer in existence. But here, archive.org, someone has archived all of the articles, or at least as far as I know. So this is a pretty deep rabbit hole to go down, but as you can see, February 25 of 2016 matches up with when they were posting their final posts on Instagram around that time. I'm not going to read through this article. I just wanted to show you what if Kesha is lying. So you don't think I'm pulling your leg here. Okay, I wanted to show you this. Kanye rants the truth. So all the way back in 2015, 11 years ago, Candace Owens was obsessed with Kanye West. Here she was quoting him. Her quote of the day. You can read that for yourself off the screen. That's not what I want to focus on. But I'll move on back to the full list of articles. And rather than clicking on any of them, because this archive.org website is taking forever to load anything for some reason, which may explain why some of these thumbnails are invalid up here, if you can see on the screen. Let me jump over into my thread, which I put together a while back, and I said, if you've never taken a trip down memory lane, down the rabbit hole of archived Candace Owens Degree 180 articles from 2015 and 2016, I highly encourage it, but simultaneously discourage it. Below are the titles of 4 of her old pieces, and I'll add more on down the thread. Yes, I censored the second one with a giant lightning bolt, as you can see. Keep in mind, Candace was 26 at the time, and this was a year before Trump's 2016 presidency began, when she began her shift into conservative politics, just before she started working for Turning Point USA. The same TPUSA she is currently attempting to destroy, along with Erica Kirk. I'm not saying that people never truly change, or that all of her old articles were this bad, but just as a point of personal reference, I'm less than a few years younger than Candace, got married May 22 of 2016, and would have never written anything like all the below. And in the screenshots below, here we see some of her article titles, starting with this one. Monogamy, not natural at all, by Candace A. By the way, Candace A stands for Candace Amber, because she is Candace Amber Owens, or shall I say Farmer, since her husband's name is Farmer, but for some reason she wants to remain famous as Owens, even though she's not even really that close with the rest of her family. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. It sure does not seem like it. Then again, I did mention just yesterday how when she became a conservative, she made an announcement video on her YouTube channel in which she literally mocked her parents as she announced that she was coming out of the closet, politically speaking. But yes, this article here on the screen, September 21 of 2015. On to the next. The title reads, Heterosexual Males, What's Your Obsession with Anal Sex? Okay. That's a rabbit hole we don't want to go down. She wrote that article January 3 of 2016. Okay. On to the next. And this one has made its rounds. Maybe you've seen this one going around before. But the title reads, I think affairs are romantic. Yeah, an actual article written by Candace Owens, January 6 of 2016. And here's another one. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this word on YouTube, but I'm so sorry, ladies, but we can never stop faking the org. I'll stop there. .org. You know what I mean. January 19 of 2016, that's when she published that one. Okay, so I do have more on down this thread. Behold, 4 more beauties from Candace Owens' collection, directly from her Degree 180 days. I'll add that her early writings make it clear she wasn't exactly removed from a certain degree of participation in hookup culture at that time. That last screenshot, though. So if you want to look at any of this for yourself, read the actual articles, though I may read some articles in their entirety in the future for the sake of a different podcast of my own. You can check me out on X. Also, I can send you links, down in the comments below. It's whatever. Here you go. Another article written by Candace Owens, December 27 of 2015. F girl code. I can hook up with your ex-boyfriend if I want to. Okay, good for you. Seems like something a senior in high school or someone going into college would say, but at this point she was mid-20s, I believe, so take that for what it's worth. Contrary to what she said about monogamy in her other article title, I myself was in the middle of a long-distance relationship at this time to a woman who I got married to in 2016 and am still married to this day. Yay me. But the difference between a one-night stand and a shooting star. This is the title of another one of Candace Owens' articles, which she published December 28 of 2015. All right. Let's speed read through some of this. Another one written or at least published December 23 of 2015. 4 reasons dating an older man in my 20s was the smartest decision I ever made. Her words, not mine. Thank goodness. Okay, here's another one. Written or at least published September 15 of 2015. The reason stay-at-home wives tend to be bat bleep crazy. Was she talking about herself there? Isn't she a stay-at-home mom now? By the way, my wife is too, so I don't agree with what Candace was saying there. But, she said it, not me. All right, on down the thread, on down the rabbit hole we go. Here's one of her quotes of the day from back in the day. Safe to say she's still getting carried away with the concept. Reminder, be insane, she said. That was August 18 of 2015. Below she adds, because there is nothing more dull than conformity. A couple years after this, Candace Owens was gallivanting around with Kanye West himself because she went from being obsessed with him to being friends with him, but of course still obsessed with him. I was watching a video just yesterday where they were touring around. They were being interviewed by TMZ. Kanye was saying some controversial things, one of which was that when he hears that black people spent 400 years in slavery, it sounds like they had a choice. Something to that effect. Yeah. Didn't go over too well, but he was saying at that time that there was nothing more satisfying than doing something that he was told he couldn't do. And that's the very same mentality Candace Owens had and seems to still have to this day. I'll have another note on that momentarily. But here's another interesting old article from Candace Owens, published in 2015. Interesting parallels. Obviously, it's not only that she was obsessed with Kanye West 10 plus years ago, but she saw herself as the female version of him. I guess if she were to carry that mindset over to today, she might feel that she's Kanye jumping on stage and snatching the mic from Taylor Swift in the form of Erica Kirk. Think about that one. By the way, Taylor never really endorsed Kanye for president. Candace is referring to a sarcastically written hashtag Conte 2020, and apparently exercising some wishful thinking. Interesting indeed. Okay, ignore that last part. That's just a side note. Here's the title of this article she published in September 30 of 2015. Why I Hate Women So Much. Spoiler alert, I am one. Okay, well, maybe you should spend more time hating on yourself and less time hating on Erica Kirk, because you deserve it more than she does. Okay, so here she says, I effing hate loving women. I don't want to read through all of this, but she says, in many ways, and yes, I am aware this is going to come off as arrogant, I feel that I am the female Kanye West. She goes on to say that she understood him during his speech at the VMAs. He said that he felt like he had to die so that other artists could have an opinion. And Candace says that he died the night that he jumped on stage and took the mic from Taylor Swift. That's what Candace was saying back in 2015, that Kanye died when he jumped on the stage to take the mic away from Taylor. She says, it was considered a steep no-no for an artist to speak out against the same system that propelled him to fame, but to do so while offending America's sweetheart? Oh. That was political self-deletion. So maybe she views Erica Kirk as America's sweetheart, and she has the same amount of contempt, jealousy for her that she did for Taylor Swift. I remember a couple of years ago, Candace Owens was on a backstage live with the Daily Wire guys, and she was trying to convince them all that Taylor Swift is pretty much one of the most evil women in the history of the world. And she was just ranting on and on and on about it. And I could tell that it wasn't really up the alley of the guys who were on there, but Ben Shapiro was kind of trying to play along with it and say, hey, maybe you've convinced me on that after all that you've said. So yeah, she was really going after Taylor Swift. Listen, I'm not a big fan of Taylor Swift either. Definitely don't care for her music. Don't care for her on a personal level either. But I did think that Candace was being a bit hyperbolic. And I think she's taking that same approach with Erica, seek and destroy. And she's doing a lot of seeking, digging for dirt. But I just think that she's so much dirtier, so much more questionable, the behavior coming from her. But let me finish reading this screenshot here. What Kanye did that night was not only dramatic, it was downright globally offensive. He was kind of in the wrong, though, right? According to her, he was a hero. So, according to her, she's now a hero in attacking Erica Kirk. If I'm connecting the right dots here. But she says, fast forward to today, and Taylor Swift calls Kanye West her best friend and is endorsing him in his bid for presidency in 2020. Why? And this is what I was referring to with the whole she was being sarcastic remark. Or at least he was being sarcastic. Maybe she thought he was being serious. Because she says, because he died for her too that night. So Candace actually believed, or at least she claimed, that Kanye jumping onto the stage and taking the mic from Taylor was him dying for her. What kind of weird alternate universe psychobabble savior complex nonsense is this? Again, she says, because he died for her too that night, that situation helped her to understand that she was a product within a BS system, and she had to decide upon herself at what price she would be valued at. Well, she's doing the same thing to this day. Maybe a little bit more pop star-ish, a little less country. But she was a pop star in the making. Kanye West, on the other hand, decided to start making songs heiling Hitler. So, think of that what you may. I guess he needed to die for his own sins while he was at it, metaphorically speaking, because Lord knows he committed many of them. Though now that he has had a little bit of a change of heart, reportedly, and apologized to Jews, including some rabbis he has sat down and had conversations with, Candace doesn't have a whole lot to say about him anymore. She's not defending that as enthusiastically as she was defending him when he was praising Hitler. This is a wild ride of a political write-up from Candace Owens, old and definitely not gold. I posted about it previously, so I'll just share that post here, but click the link to the archived site. I don't know how much time I want to spend on this. I had posted this caption with a link to another one of those articles. I do have the article pulled up from the same archived website. The title of the article is News Update. The Republican Tea Party is led by the Mad Hatter. It's kind of wild. Maybe I'll save that for another show. You can let me know in the comments below if you want me to read all of this. I will just read these little headings in here. 1. The gay, transgendered, bi, straight, anything else conversion conversation will be instantly over, deleted, done. Okay. Basically what she was saying there was that she didn't want anybody, namely politicians, to talk about wokeness. She wanted them to just stop talking about the whole Rainbow Coalition. So number 2 here. People will instantly acknowledge that the president's peen should never be a topic of discussion, like ever. Okay, then why are you talking about it? Am I wrong? Number 3, women's reproductive organs and issues will no longer be a topic of presidential debate. So she wanted politicians, presidential candidates, debate moderators to stop talking about abortion. She just wanted it to stop being talked about. And she ends that little section by saying, certainly not my GD president, so stop asking that redundant, inappropriate question during presidential debates. So she was basically taking the approach of the left, saying, my body, my choice. She ends saying, clearly the Mad Hatter has been aggressively pushing an agenda of genitals over the last few decades, for which we salute your Tea Parties for fighting the good fight, but really, we are done with this and demanding an end to this ridiculousness now. It just hit me, the irony of her saying that nobody should be talking about a president's peen while she is engaged or involved in a lawsuit courtesy of the Macrons over in France because she has been claiming the first lady over there has a peen. I mean, she was basically saying this was a hill she wanted to die on. So, oh, how the times have turned. Oh, how the tides have turned. Oh, how the tables have turned. What other expressions, euphemisms can I throw in? But I might read through the rest of that in the future. Let me know if you would like for me to do so. Where was I? Okay, back to my thread here. Candace Owens as the CEO of Degree 180 explaining that she didn't actually have herpes. Among other questions of apparent interest at the time, at least she looked and sounded way less hateful back then. So you can actually find this video on YouTube because again, their old Degree 180 YouTube channel is still up as well. 89 subscribers to this day. But this video right here, over 4,000 views. So not too many people have seen it. I'm going to play a little bit of it here on my X account where I posted it.
What's up, everyone? My name is Candace Owens. I'm the CEO of Degree180.com, here answering your questions. Sleeping Beauty. I really like sleeping. I think that I'm Sleeping Beauty because I'm pretty. I like to sleep, so.
Likes to sleep. So maybe that's what she's doing now. She likes to podcast and sleep. She said something recently about how infants, toddlers are sleep trained. And the way that she said it suggested that she, despite having, 4 kids of her own, I believe, does not actually take care of them, at least at night. Like she probably has a night nanny or something because she was talking in a way that was totally detached from reality. And I guess if she really loves to sleep so that she can be fresh and fit for her podcast every day. Well, every day except for when she takes a couple of weeks off to do who knows what. I don't know, go to a theme park while claiming there's a active assassination attempt out on her. True, fake story, if that makes any sense.
I know some of them have done more courageous things, but I like to sleep, so I'm going to stick with that answer. By the way, I just want to apologize to everyone that I didn't give you guys a political answer, but I mean, that's my answer. I'm sticking to it.
I don't think she's really driven by politics in the way that she led us to believe during her time in conservatism, which has clearly come to an end. I think she's an attention seeker and a grifter of sorts. And I think that she's like one of those Christians after a conversion experience where you're immediately on fire for Christ, so much so that you just cannot stop talking about it. I'm not saying that makes it inauthentic. I'm saying that's how she approached conservatism. Like, she was out there with Charlie Kirk on the stage talking a mile a minute to the point where he was taking the backseat to her, even though he was the one who was leading. I mean, Turning Point USA belonged to him. It was his baby. But when she would get up there on stage with him, she would basically dominate. And it's not like anything she was saying at that time was original. It was a talking point. It was just more compelling coming from her, considering her demographics, if you know what I mean. She was more effective as a messenger for conservatives and Republicans than some white guy. I think that was a wave to her, and she rode it until she wore out her welcome, burned all the bridges in her path. They certainly did not light her path, though, because now she's spiraling into oblivion, learning no lessons whatsoever. If she is, it's just the lesson of how to more effectively grift. All right, so here's the part about the herpes. Wild thing to say, I know, but bear with me, bear with her.
When I was in high school, the guy I was dating had a girl in his class, or a girl that he had gone to, I think, middle school with, that worked at my gynecology office. She was just kind of like the girl behind the desk. And I guess maybe she saw a file pass that had my name on it. And, you know, kids like drama, so when you see someone's name, you're like, oh, I know she goes to this gynecologist. So she told my boyfriend that I had herpes. And he believed it, and he freaked out, and it was like the most insane thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. And that's like a terrible thing for like an 18-year-old to have to go through, like explaining to your boyfriend that you don't have herpes. But yeah, that was kind of the craziest thing I've ever heard about myself.
What was the time? What was the age she gave there? Was it 18?
Thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. And that's like a terrible thing for like an 18-year-old to have to go through, like
18-year-old. So in 2007, when she was 17, a senior in high school, she supposedly had 4 boys, teenage boys, send her threatening voicemails, very racist voicemails. This was her first claim to fame. So if what she's talking about here happened a year after that, then I guess she considers some claim about herpes to be more compelling or more notable than something that she became national news over, according to her. I don't know if it was really that national in terms of news at the time, but yeah, it was a pretty big deal because one of those boys she was accusing happened to be the son of the mayor of her town, her city at that time, and he went on to become the governor of the state of Connecticut. He went on to promote both her Degree 180 and also Social Autopsy with the story of how she experienced racism in high school. That was what she talked about in her TED Talk, where she was promoting all of this. I'm just thinking out loud here. This goes on a couple more minutes. It's a 3-minute long clip. I just played over a minute of it. But yeah, at least she looked and sounded way less hateful back then. Now, if you keep up with her, if you watch any of her podcasts, her ranting and raving, it's clear that she has spite for like everyone on the right, over at Turning Point USA especially, but she just seems so hateful in general. But I hope you found something in there. I'd encourage you to like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. Keep in touch, keep in tune. New content is coming soon. I always say that, but my apologies if I struggle with consistency here on this channel. I've been consistent uploading as of late, at least for a couple of days now. Fingers crossed moving forward, but let me know what you think down in the comments below. Be happy to hear from you. Is any of that new to you? And if so, what do you think about it? Peace.